sit and write a song. Won't take you very long. Just mention Greg and Mike. You'll get it done by the end of the night.
Hey now, read all about it. Two guys in L.A., Grammys weekend, bringing you all the news from around the world. Alabama, Florida, New Zealand.
Yes. Where else?
Oh, I didn't plug in my headphones.
Oh, and Los Angeles, where it's not really happening for Greg yet. There he goes.
There now.
Florida,
oh, that feels
Alabama,
good. Alabama.
Vegas. We got Vegas. We got Vegas twice.
Weren't you going to go to Vegas
we got
for the
Thailand?
Weren't you going to? Were you going to go to Vegas for the Super Bowl? Weren't
we
you
were Vegas
Jack?
3 times. Am I going to go to Vegas for the Super Bowl?
No, didn't Jack want to go? Jack wants to go to Vegas when it's the fucking
March Madness.
Everything. I mean,
He's
Valentine's
stuck in Jackson
Day.
Hole, man. He's stuck there.
4th
That
of
town
July.
gets small.
Yeah.
Well, we're going to get to it later, but yeah, the Dead announced shows in the Sphere. We're going to cover that story.
Yep. That's going to be good.
We're going to cover the Super Bowls and this apparent lock that Kansas City has on the Super Bowl.
Well, that's why I'm glad. We'll see who gets it. We're going to decide who gets who. We're going to bet on it. I
wonder if it'll affect the odds. You think there's enough conspiracy theorists out there who are like,
for sure. Well, it's not just this is not a new thing. They've been talking about what's the phrase they use? The gig is in, the fix is in. They've been talking about the fix being in for Kansas City, like going back to like the colors that they put for the Super Bowl are red already, which is now a lock because you got 2 red teams. But that was up months ago. It was a red logo.
It was supposed to be, I think it was red and purple. It's supposed to be Baltimore who got there, though, I think.
Oh, well, there's been a bunch of bad calls. I mean, look, I just love that anything. Why are we getting into sports now? But I just love that anything can be in the crux of a conspiracy theory these days. People, I mean, look, if you give me a premise, if you tell me that oak trees are dropping poisonous acorns on people, I can dig up shit. I will find anecdotal evidence and build a case, and there'll be enough wingnuts that are bored enough on the internet that they'll start finding shit too. And then it's a story.
Well, they do profiles. You know, there's a psychological profile, I think, on conspiracy theorists, and a lot of it is our issues. I should know more about it before I open my mouth, but there are, and I'll get them for next week because I think it's a lot of problems with authority, a massive, obviously, distrust of authority, and that's tied into a lot.
They've been betrayed. These are people that have been betrayed in their lives.
Oh.
And a lot of times people whose lives have not gone well and they're looking for an excuse. They're looking for, and race, it all ends up with the Jews. Whatever conspiracy theory you start with, it ends up with fucking Zionism and the who's the Rothschilds. It all goes back to that.
Yeah, exactly.
Meanwhile, the real conspiracy is like BlackRock. Like, that's not a conspiracy. These motherfuckers own the defense There's like 2 companies that run all the defense. And if you think these fuckers don't get a hard on when there's a war, when there's any kind of military needed around the country. And so they're lobbying. They're the biggest lobbyists in Washington. And everything is pro-war. Every stance that they're trying to influence politicians on is attack, get involved. Anyway.
Oh, please. It's like 4 times the size of like a infrastructure bill. A war is an economy kickstarter.
Right.
Historically, forever. It's incredible.
Yeah.
So anyway, what was I going to say? Go ahead.
Well, let's talk about last night. I mean, our producer, Chris Denman, who
what a
is
host.
He's a first-rate producer, and now he's got this new hat on, or I should say ill-fitting blazer on, where he comes out and he produces things. He's been doing it in St. Louis for a while. He produces comedy shows, generally benefits. Definitely not benefiting me. He didn't give me any fucking money last night. I thought, spent $20 on parking, so I can do 12 minutes in front of a half-empty crowd.
So did you drive Amber J home?
I did.
Oh, all right. Yeah. I'm glad that worked out. We had a Chris, and I called her Amber, and she corrected me. I guess
it's Amber J.
Yeah.
But she represents Comedy Gives Back, and I'm kidding about the money because the money was actually earmarked for Comedy Gives Back, which is a great organization that kind of was inspired by Brody Stevens' death and the idea that comedians are in a vulnerable place. They need mental health support, and sometimes they need help with their rent. So they raise money and they disperse it. They give it to comics that are in need, and it's amazing. And they've raised a ton of money. They do the golf outing. They do a lot of live events. And Bert Kreischer donated a percentage of his tour, which is a lot of fucking money. His tour is big.
No doubt.
Yeah. So shout out to Bert.
Yeah. No, they're great. And by the way, I thought the J was optional on Amber, and so I stand corrected. But I'm glad she got home. She was there. She's part of the Comedy Gives Back. It was, and Denman was like a great host. And then so many of the comedians kept referring to him, while on stage.
Yeah, but did he need to be on stage? Here's the thing.
Oh boy.
Me and Ian Edwards both had spots at other clubs, and we reached out and we were like, Denman, can I get on early? And I said the show has to start on time, 8:00 show. Well, all of a sudden it's fucking 8:20, and Sammy St. Louis comes strolling on stage with his paisley shirt and starts riffing with the hosts, with what's her name, Kim Whitley, and I'm standing backstage watching the clock go by, and all of a sudden I had to fucking leave. I couldn't do the spot because I'm on the main room at the Comedy Store, and I should have been done 15 minutes ago. So then I leave. I go to the store. I do my set. I kill. And then I text him, should I come back? He said, come back. So now the $20 parking is $40. And I come inside and close out the show.
Yeah, you did a good job. I was like, oh, no, this is going to be tough because there was a lot of energy in the room, and then a couple of people did really, and also it was fatigue was setting in, and you were battling that.
You weren't worried about me, were you?
I was worried, to tell you the truth, about anyone that would have gone on after the second to last guy.
Yeah,
because and everyone was growing. It was like a good enough duration then. In fact, even the one before him. So now it's like kind of pushing it in terms of people's tolerance.
No, I saw a lot of people leave right before he got on. I think they were it was late. It was getting late.
Yeah.
Show started late.
But it was great. You did really well. And your line about blacks versus whites was really funny.
And the Alec Baldwin joke.
Yeah.
So
right outside.
Anyway, congrats to Denman.
His star was right outside for the listeners.
We got to hang out. Yeah, his star is outside, and it's a really bad neighborhood. And I said, his star is out front, which is apropos because after the show, someone's getting shot.
Yes.
So congrats to Midcoast Media and Denman. Nice job. Grammys are this weekend. I know you're going to an event, aren't you?
Yeah. Last night, I guess it was, on Saturday night at the Troubadour, they're having a Paul Simon tribute from the Americana folks at the Grammys.
Nice.
Yeah, they're all getting up there and singing some Paul Simon before the Grammys.
Nice. What are you going to wear?
Probably my Art Garfunkel wig.
Maybe you can get Denman's shirt.
Yeah, I think that would go well. Oh, you know what? You played golf with Weinstein today.
I did.
Chris,
your friend
we should
Chris
say,
Weinstein,
not Harvey.
which by the way, I found out last night. I go, so where'd you go to college? He goes, I went to college with you at BU.
He had you at one of his parties.
I was drunk. I did a lot of drinking in college. I don't remember everybody, but it's funny because I've known him for so long. I mean, going back to when we all lived in New York in the 90s.
Yeah.
And always thought so highly of him. Such a fucking cool dude. So funny and very accomplished. And but I don't think I ever knew that he went to BU.
So he was my roommate here. He stayed here for like 3 or 4 nights. And anyway, taught me music theory, because I'm absolutely the biggest idiot when it comes to music. So anyway, one thing he talked about related to Paul Simon is he's like, you've seen this, right? Obviously you've seen this. And it was like season 1 of Saturday Night Live, maybe even the 3rd episode. I don't know.
Oh yeah, it's like
for
Lauren's
sure.
best friend.
But but right, I've seen Paul Simon on SNL a ton, and he's funny. He was in sketches too.
Yeah.
He was in one, maybe he was up on the prison wall. I forget. He was in a jail cell. But anyway, no, it is George Harrison and Paul Simon side by side with acoustic guitars. They sing one Paul Simon song, and then they sing Here Comes the Sun.
Nice.
And it's pretty extraordinary.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, remember he was in Annie Hall. He was great in Annie Hall.
Oh, right. He was in Annie Hall. That's right.
But Chris is a guy who developed, really like redesigned the look of MTV when he was the editor on MTV Sports with that kind of like fast.
Yeah, he co-created the look of MTV Sports, which most of our listeners are probably too young to remember. But that every so often there's a game changer. That was a game changer.
Yeah.
In terms of the look and how cool. And he won some Grammys for editing. Yeah, he was a coveted editor in New York. He said he jokes, but one of the high points of his career is he cut a lot of the Hall of Fame inductee tapes that would play before they got introduced. And Joel Gallen, who did those shows, let Chris stand next to kind of just secretly stand next to Lou Reed in the wings.
Nice.
And Chris saw Lou Reed cry when the tape played for Velvet Underground.
Wow, that's pretty cool.
That is cool.
Yeah, no, and the best thing about MTV Sports is that you were on it. Little known fact about Mike Gibbons was a nationally ranked croquet player back in the 90s.
The worst brag ever.
So I don't know if they did it as a joke, but they covered croquet for MTV Sports, and you're out there with all these octogenarians in white outfits and bucket hats, and you've got on a New York Yankees cap, and you're trouncing them in croquet.
It was half a joke, but then what MTV Sports was interested in was how difficult the real croquet actually is.
Yeah.
And so then they're like, oh, and then they found out at one time it was an Olympic sport. And so...
and this was in Central Park, right?
Yeah, my home court was Central Park. We had to share it with the goddamn lawn bowlers. All croquet people hate lawn bowlers because you have to share the 1/4-inch bent grass, basically the putting greens with them.
So it's like what pickleballers are to tennis.
It's exactly that.
Yeah.
Although they would say we're the pickleballers. We're both calling the other pickleballers.
Denman just wrote, "Is this a bit?" No, Mike Gibbons was a nationally ranked
Dan
croquet
Cortez.
player.
Dan Cortez introduced my segment where I was featured on MTV Sports.
Right. Wow.
Yeah.
Don't forget, people, the koozies. We have just a few left. We're almost sold out. We'd like to move them. We'd like to move them out of Mike's living room.
Some just went out because I gave Greg some for the road and he brought them back. So now there were a couple of stragglers. I've also written people on Venmo, like, did you get it yet? And I've gotten positive responses. And then one was 50% positive. The woman ordered 2 and her friend didn't get one. So, but we're getting them out there.
Getting them out there. It's $10 all in with shipping. Just go to the FitzDog website and you'll see a place where you can do it. And then let's get to the logo. Fargo season 5 has been adjusted. What a great fucking logo.
Yeah.
From Nath Nabilsi. And it's just so cool. Blondie's on there. Grapefruit Simmons is on there. Gibbons is on there. Denman is up in the top left corner.
Look at him. Is he a communist? Or he's a police officer.
And I'll be honest with you. Originally, I guess whatever he was using as the template for this, the figurine was black, and Denman was black. And I said to Lath, I go, I appreciate this. This is so great, but we can't have blackface Chris Denman. So he was nice enough to change him to white.
Are you kidding? Chris makes everyone delete the photos at all his parties when they photograph him in blackface.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, he won an NAACP Image Award this year. I don't think going in blackface is the way he wants to go.
He won 2. He's pointing out he won 2.
All right.
Yeah.
Nice. The song this week, Maintenance Lane, shows us all you don't need a soundboard. You don't need a bass player. Just an acoustic guitar and an imagination and a very nice theme song. Thank you, Maintenance Lane.
Oh, I put a little note in here. We talk about entertainment, but I just saw Dusty Slay's Hour, and it killed me. It's really good. Go check it out. He tells a true story about a TED Talk he gave, which is on YouTube, and I don't want to spoil any of it. It's a true story, and also the way he tells it is so funny. So really worth checking out.
All right, I got to watch that special, and I may try to get him on my podcast. We'll
Please
see about
do.
that.
He seems like the nicest guy too, and you guys have a lot in common in terms of struggles. You know, he's sober now and all that.
He's got beautiful hair.
Sure does.
Were we on acid last week? We got a lot of corrections.
All right.
Let's
see how many apply to me.
Stephen Blackwood said on the Lockhorn strip, you read the caption incorrectly. It actually reads, Zoom, don't leave home with it. You read it as without. The strip is funny either way, but makes more sense as written. Okay. That's me.
Yeah, that's you.
Eric from Duluth, Minnesota, you brought up Tiny Toons this week saying it was Disney characters, but they were actually Looney Tunes. You had the right idea, though. A lot of kid versions of Bugs Bunny, Daffy Duck, and Porky Pig. The show was right in my wheelhouse when I was a kid. Fact, a whole generation of kids was introduced to the band They Might Be Giants through this show. That episode is considered to be an all-time favorite by a lot of us. What is us? What are you, one of those weirdos that goes in chat rooms about cartoons?
I think he's talking about men of a certain age.
Yeah. Did I ever tell you about the time I opened for They Might Be Giants at Kent State University in Ohio?
Really?
Yep. I get there, and I'm opening for them. It's a daytime show, and it's some kind of like spring fling where, and this is back, in the early 90s where there was late 90s, where colleges could have kegs in the quad. So it was in the quad, and like kids were annihilated. I mean, the show started like the sun was about to go down, and I'm up there, and nobody's listening. People are just playing hacky sack and frisbee and yelling, and so I'm bombing, and so some guy heckles me, and I just go after him. I'm so angry, I just annihilate this guy, and then all of a sudden I get hit in the chest with an apple, and I literally just put the mic in the stand, and I went, "Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome They Might Be Giants." I was 6 minutes into my set. I was supposed to do a half an hour. And my rule is, I get hit with something, show's over, folks.
Man.
There
Luckily, it was just an apple.
I know. Well, it would have been nicer if it was like a ripe peach.
Yeah, I never got into They Might Be Giants. They're
great. They're great.
Yeah, they're funny.
Yeah. Holly said, I prefer the word suddenly to all of a sudden. I mostly hear the latter in our zeitgeist, and it irks my grammar Nazi feelings. Kelly from Portland, you had a correction this week about June Diane Raphael, but no one corrected you on how you're saying her name wrong. It isn't Raphael like the painter or turtle. It's pronounced Raphael. You can hear it said at the beginning of either of her podcasts. God damn it, I hope
Getting back to the grammar Nazi, on the Ben show, we did a sketch called The Grammar Nazi, and we had one of our we had Doug, Doug. So we had one of our writers, Doug, dress up as a Nazi, and we went out on Hollywood Boulevard, And he was, it turns out, a Kelsey Grammer Nazi, and it was all Kelsey Grammer trivia in a German accent.
Wait, Ben literally dressed as a Nazi?
No, we had Doug Perkins, one of our great writers on the Ben Show.
Oh my God.
Dressed as a Nazi, intense German accent, reading Kelsey Grammer trivia.
That's fucking great. Did he get anybody upset?
No, but he would just scream 9 when they got it wrong.
John Niederer said, Greg, you are the best. Me. I love Sunday papers. Got me through the pandemic. A little weird that you two semi-literate dudes don't remember that the Concorde crashed into a hotel.
What?
And I read the link. This really happened. Yes, the fuel costs were an issue and the sonic boom was a problem, but killing your customers was unrecoverable, though the accident was the result of debris from a flight that took off before it and not any inherent design issues or problems with the Concorde. It did fly again briefly after the accident, but it was actually never profitable despite its $10,000 ticket price. Yeah, it killed 113 people.
Wow.
Yeah.
Where was it? Where did it crash?
It was an Air France flight, so maybe it was Paris or something.
Wow.
Daniel Preston said, I got a correction for Denman. He informed you that Folks was hired as a head coach of the Atlanta Falcons. I'm not the head coach of... I am, however, the head coach of a middle school football team. Just a slight difference between my job and NFL. I guess his name is Daniel Preston, and I maybe he's got the same name.
Sure.
All right.
Good one.
Okay. Homero himself said that Greg said football is 95% nothing happening, but a game averages 11 minutes of play time. So it is 81.67% nothing happening.
I have to say, I think I'm undefeated so far. Go ahead.
In what?
I don't think any of these corrections are about me.
Well, then you're going to love this last one from Nevada Smith.
No.
He said, F-14s in World War II? Really? 1,000-pound bombs? The Brits had a 20,000-pound bomb called a Grand Slam. Yeah, I looked it up again. They were actually P-class fighter planes. They weren't F-14s. I don't know. I was on a roll.
Yeah.
I was on a fucking roll, man. And
you're a broadcaster. Don't let these details get you hung up.
Details. It's like, who cares? You can Google this shit on your own. What am I, anally retentive?
Yeah, no one says this is true stories here.
Here's a true story. I'll be coming to Portland, Oregon at the Helium Comedy Club February 22nd to the 24th, Huntington Beach, the Rec Room on March 2nd, La Jolla Comedy Store March 8th through 10th, Hollywood Improv, Mike Gibbons and I will be performing at the St. Patty's Show on March 16th.
I got to write some material, okay?
Tampa Bay at Side Splitters April 4th through 6th. Come down and celebrate my birthday with me, which is April 5th. Bring a gift. You know, if you want to celebrate my birthday in Tampa, bring me a bag of those Trader Joe's Sesame Honey Cashews. I fucking love those, and they're not always stocked on the shelves here.
I saw them recently. I was going to grab you a bag.
I'm registered. That's my registration for my birthday.
I love it.
Mike,
wait,
is there anything you want?
Where are you next weekend? Super Bowl weekend.
Aren't I here?
Join us then to watch it.
No, you know why? I love the camaraderie. I like to listen to the Super Bowl, and I went to the playoff game. I couldn't hear a word the announcers were saying because there were chicks. I'm sorry. Certain women know about football. A vast majority, all they cared about was Taylor Swift. It's all they talked about.
Yeah, you went to the wrong game.
Well, they're back in this game. Kansas City's back in this game.
That's the problem. Yeah, so all right. Well, I was there for the second game, and we had them turn the volume up because Chris's dad was there, and he's like in his 80s. And anyway, it was really enjoyable, but we did not have Taylor Swift fans.
But could you hear the game as you watched it?
Absolutely.
All right.
You really want to hear it that badly?
Yes, I want to hear. By the way, did you hear that Tom Brady is coming in? He's going to be the broadcaster next year. They're getting rid of who's the guy that looks like Pete Scott?
I don't know. You're not talking about Tony Romo.
Nope.
Oh, I don't know.
I think it's the guy that does it with Tony Romo.
Okay.
Anything you want to get people to buy?
Well, wait. First of all, it's only 81.67% of action, so you only really need to hear the announcers for that.
No, I like the replays. I like to know if it was a real penalty. I like to know some background on the players and who's injured and what's the update on the injury. I want all that stuff. Oh, Greg Olson is being replaced by Tom Brady.
All right, Tom Brady's not going to Michigan. One less conspiracy theory that's out there.
Oh, right. I heard that. Okay.
Yeah. All right, well, listen, man. Smoking cannabis doesn't have to hurt.
Nope, not anymore.
You are going to upgrade. We got them delivered in the mail last week. I didn't even know what I was unboxing. It was like, have you ever seen the high-end car shows where guys are customizing either cars or motorcycles?
Yeah.
And the most beautiful equipment, or this custom muffler comes in this box and it's like jewelry. That's what this was like when these bongs arrived. So it's upgrade to a freeze pipe today to experience icy smooth clouds without the throat burn, chest pain, or coughing attacks. It's called Freeze Pipe, American-owned glass brand that makes a unique line of freezable pipes, bubblers, and bongs that cool smoke by over 300 degrees. So one of them I opened, I'm like, what is going on here? And it's this freezable glycerin chamber that comes on every piece. You pop one of the chambers in the freezer for 1 hour, and then as the smoke passes through it, it's instantly chilled for a pain-free, refreshing experience.
No, you don't feel the hit. It's unbelievable. First of all, it looks Art Deco. It's kind of a beautiful piece. And then when you inhale, it's like you're breathing in like a nice mist.
Yep.
It's amazing.
And the gel freezes quicker than water and it stays frozen longer. It's like putting ice cubes in your bong if those ice cubes took steroids and just stayed ice cubes forever.
Say goodbye to harsh smoke and coughing attacks by shopping the smoothest pipes, bubblers, bongs, and more at thefreezepipe.com and use code SUNDAY for a 10% off your entire order. That's thefreezepipe.com and code SUNDAY for 10% off. Priced affordably with free domestic shipping. Order today and start fighting fire with ice. Ooh,
nice.
Yeah. You got some paper to crinkle?
Oh, man, do I? I'm going to get a fresh one. You know why? I need it. Here we go. Sorry, my voice is starting to go. I'll fix it. There's the fix. The fix was in. It was called a burp. All right. Trump supporters accused Taylor Swift of plotting to rig the Super Bowl and the American election. That should maybe be in a different order, huh? Allies, including failed Republican presidential candidate Vivek Ramaswamy. I don't know that guy's name. Who cares? Anyway, claim the pop megastar's boyfriend, Travis Kelce's Kansas City Chiefs, will win a fixed final. They reckon this is so the pair can give Trump's rival, Joe Biden, their backing during their celebrations in front of millions of TV viewers. Right-wing podcast host Mike Crispy claimed the NFL is totally rigged for the Kansas City Chiefs, adding, calling it now, KC wins and goes to the Super Bowl. Swift comes out at the halftime show and endorses Joe Biden with Kelce at midfield. It goes on and on, but the right is all talking about this.
It's so crazy because this is like the end of time cults that predict that the world's going to end on May 15th, 2001, and then it doesn't happen. And somehow everybody comes back to church the next day.
Yeah. It's By the way, the Trumpers can win at all this Super Bowl. Either this fixes in and KC wins, right? Or KC wins on their own with no fix and Taylor blesses and anoints Biden or something like that. Or the gay, disgusting city that represents all that is wrong with liberal America wins.
What, Vegas?
So they're out of it. Huh?
Vegas or Kansas City?
San Francisco would win.
Oh, gotcha. Right.
And the right is having a hard time in sports lately. Michigan beats Alabama, Washington beats Texas, and all North Blue State College Championship game.
Right.
I don't know the last time that happened.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. But this whole thing is a little like the Streisand effect. So you know the Streisand effect?
No, what's that?
So the definition is it's an unintended consequence of attempts to hide, remove, or censor information where the effort instead backfires by increasing awareness of that information. And it's based on Streisand. The Coastal Commission in California took pictures of the coast all up and down, and they were going to sort of keep track of corrosion and the encroaching seas. Anyway, it was an environmental thing that no one would have ever seen. Streisand catches wind of it and goes, "You are not taking a picture of my home on the shore and putting it anywhere." And she sued to stop it. That's when everyone knew there was a photo of her house and millions of people went and viewed it.
Ah, that's fantastic. By the way, her audiobook is like 40 hours long, but people say it's riveting.
So now what they're doing, the reason I'm tying this in, I don't think it's riveting, trust me, but I'm tying this in is you guys are raising so much awareness that Taylor Swift, of course, would prefer Joe Biden over Trump. You're basically doing the endorsement for her.
Right. Well, I think, if we want to draw attention to certain things, maybe we should send her to the Middle East and she should date a Hamas fighter. What about that? She's in a bunker. When they launch a grenade, she high fives the Hamas's sister-in-law.
Yeah.
She wear camouflage instead of the red jersey.
I like all this.
By the way, there's
she can be ballsy. Maybe she'll do it.
I mean, is this really going to swing the election? Because I think it's only going to counteract the fact that there's a plot where everyone convicted of a crime on January 6th is going to endorse Donald Trump publicly. So isn't it all a wash?
I think it is. Before the corrections come in, I think I said corrosion. I meant erosion.
Erosion, right.
Yeah, it slipped away from me. I'm a little thick-headed right now.
What's going on in Thailand?
Oh, let me tell you about the attack of the primates, Greg. The Thai city, once a thriving hub for tourists, I guess it's right outside of Bangkok, who flocked to see the city's wild macaques, has now been completely overrun.
I think it's my cocks.
Overrun by the 3,500 strong army that have taken control.
Jesus.
Some locals have fled while others have been forced to barricade their homes in a desperate bid to protect themselves against the rampaging monkeys. Quote, "We live in a cage, but the monkeys live outside." Well, if you're the ones in cages, let me tell you, there's one thing to start doing. Start slinging your poop at the monkeys.
Yes.
Flip it. Flip the game on them. That's what I'm going to tell you to do.
Furiously masturbate and then just whip that stuff at the kids' faces.
Yeah. How do you like that, guy? How do you like that, spectators? At first, the locals attempted to keep the animals at bay by providing them with junk food, but that plan backfired and seemed to only make the monkeys more violent. Just like kids in a school cafeteria when they get the sugar buzz going.
Right. It's a bunch of chimps that have ADHD.
So then in 2020, authorities were able to use large fruits to lure several hundred monkeys into these cages so they could sterilize them. At first, this was successful, and they were managed to catch, I think, 500 monkeys on a daily basis. But now the monkeys have caught on to their tactics. I bet they caught on. It's like, bruh, Hank went in there to grab an orange. Have you seen Hank now? Those oranges are fucked.
Hank's sad. Why is Hank so sad? He's just staring into space.
Hank's not Hank, man.
And his girlfriend, Erica, is fucking really troubled.
Yeah.
Look, if you want to get monkeys to stop fucking, forget all the science, make them all get married. Except the gay ones. No gay marriage.
No gay marriage in the monkeys.
Don't need it.
And listen, I know, fellas, you're like, what's new? When we're all in Thailand, we always say the biggest problem is macaque.
There it is.
Yeah. Terrifying. Terrifying down there.
Have you been in Thailand? I know some people that have gone to Thailand, and it really is like there's just sex workers everywhere.
Yeah, it's way more acceptable. There's less shame, and I know I sound like this. I don't know what I'm talking about, but from what I've heard, some of it is more acceptable to families, for instance. It's a source of income and all that stuff. I don't know. I'm probably saying all politically incorrect things, but I was there, and I do know one thing is the massage parlors that are around, which I never went. I'd admit it. I never went or anything, but we visited a guy who lived there. I went with my folks, and he goes, you have to look. I don't know if it's still the same. This was 1990. He goes, you have to look for a certain symbol. And I go, oh, the symbol means like that's a dirty massage? And he goes, no, the symbol means it's a legitimate massage.
Oh, really?
So that was the exception.
Wait, you went with your folks?
I met my dad and my stepmother, and I think I told you this, and their friend there, get this, was an American guy who was head of Planned Parenthood, or very high up, and he was head of Planned Parenthood and some other organizations in Bangkok. So then he goes, at dinner, he goes, all right, listen, I guess it's unavoidable. I'm going to take Mike down to see Pat Pon, whatever the red light district is in Bangkok, which is like, a hat on a hat, because the whole city seems a little bit like one. So he took me down to Pat Pon. So I go into this bar. God, I almost remember the name of it. It was like the Kangaroo. There was an Australian theme to it. And anyway, he takes me, and I walk into the bar first, and some of the most beautiful women I've ever seen who are in bikinis with numbers on them. And I walk in, I look like a dollar bill with like Levi's on, and an American dollar bill. And they start coming over to me. And as soon as he walks in behind me, they zoom past me and sneer and want nothing to do with us. He was responsible for the new program that was getting them all medically checked every day.
No shit.
To stop the spread of AIDS especially, but disease.
Oh, damn.
Yeah.
That's pretty wild.
He took me in a one place where you could be at the bar, pay, and while you're at the bar, get oral sex underneath the bar. Oh, by the way, and I'm with the authority there, so I had to just watch all, like I didn't partake in any of this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jesus. It's a pretty nice bar.
So been there. Yeah, it's a good idea. They should have private clubs here. Like that.
Speaking of whores, legging legs is the latest body-focused term being used on social media, and some are calling the trend dangerous and harmful. It's blocked. You can't search it on TikTok, and it's a description of the perfect or ideal size and shape of legs for wearing leggings, promoting what experts say can be an unhealthy body image. It appears to be a new spin on the internet-fueled thigh gap craze, in which women and teens try to be so slender that their thighs don't touch each other. I think it was also when their feet are together. I think it also referred to there being a gap where the vagina was, like your legs could touch, but there was an opening below where your vag.
No, it was a total thing.
Yeah. So, I don't know. I think, aren't leggings yoga pants? I always call them yoga pants. And I'm glad they're not calling them yoga pants, because when the pants are bigger than a size 10, those are not yoga pants. Those are buffet pants, couch slacks.
Couch slacks. I like that. So you can no longer search leggings, right? And but I think it's a little cruel that it auto corrects your search and it's like pegging legs. Talk about body images. I think legging legs is a very small problem compared to what you find when you type in pegging legs.
What's pegging legs?
You don't know about pegging?
No.
You should look up pegging.
Really?
Yeah, maybe.
Is this like Meat Spin or whatever that old website was?
Yeah, except Meatspin was a joke site. Pegging is the furthest thing from a joke.
Am I going to get in trouble with the FBI if I look up pegging?
I would put private browsing on. Who knows? I may not hear from you for a week once you find pegging.
Denman says Greg deserves an Oscar for this performance. I have no idea what pegging is.
All right.
There's the rest of my afternoon carved out for me.
If you spend the afternoon on pegging, I can't wait till next week's podcast.
Jesus.
All right. Vegas casinos rake in record gambling revenue, and it proves the house doesn't lose. There's an old Las Vegas saying those multi-million, billion-dollar resorts and casinos weren't built by winners. So it's kind of surprising how fast Vegas has come back, but the casinos on the Strip generated $905 million in December 2023.
In 1 month, $900 million.
And the casinos in Clark County combined for more than $1.3 billion in revenue.
Damn.
Yeah. The entire state generated more than $1.4 billion in the final month of 2023. And then it says it's hard to imagine February won't set a new gambling record as the city is flooded with visitors to the Chiefs 49ers game. And now with the Kansas City game fixed, forget about
it. It's, and you know what? This is stuff that's on the books. This doesn't include cash tips for lap dances, MDMA for the raves, prostitution, tipping nightclub bouncers to get in. How about buying drinks for the guy who works with your wife that went to Spearmint Rhino and saw you coming out of the VIP room with snot on your fly? Just saying. That might happen sometimes.
Also, there's the high stakes pegging room. There's all sorts of shady stuff going on in there.
I'm fucking dying right now. I want to know what pegging is.
You'll see.
All right, speaking of pegging, let's get to some entertainment.
Oh, here we go. Okay, Dead & Company, speaking of Vegas, confirms the Sphere residency, and they announced the dates. And my first instinct is this postmodern industrial sphere, which is at a Blade Runner with revolutionary 3D images, the right move for 60-year-olds on acid? I'm not so sure. Some of these people lose their minds just at Soldier Field or Madison Square Garden when they're on acid. This sphere better have multiple teams of therapists for the bad fried brains that are going to go down during these shows.
Yeah, I mean, the Dead are pastoral. They're meant to be seen at like someplace with grass, like a field of grass, maybe some porta potties, not in some fucking corporate hellscape of digital overstimulation where... By the way, and if you dance too close to the railing, don't you take a header? Isn't it really steep? Can't you fall?
I'm sure. I wonder if someone has already.
Dude, I have no interest in going to that place. It seems like it reminds me of is like when you go to a basketball game now, the amount of lights and music and sound and t-shirt guns and cheerleaders and dance. It's like, can I fucking take in the event here? It's too much.
It's insane. By the way, even people have told me, it might be called Postcard from Earth, but Darren Aronofsky, Oscar-winning director, apparently this footage takes up the most gigabytes of storage. It's so incredibly rich and high def, and it's nature footage. That alone apparently is mind-blowing in this thing. Jesus. And I'm not endorsing the Sphere. I actually have heard mixed things. You know, don't sit on the floor. You have to be far enough back. Whenever I saw, it looked really cool. Whenever I saw the footage of U2, one of my questions was, do you really need U2? Like, everyone's looking at this giant show behind them as they're playing Octung Baby from beginning to end, you know?
Yeah.
And, you know, people didn't think they sounded, let's just say, in peak form.
Yeah, no, I heard that too. You know where I'd rather go than Vegas? Florida.
Tell me.
I like to go to Florida.
Is this a transition? Are you skipping Rucker?
Yeah, let's skip Rucker.
Darius Rucker. Let's just say this about Darius Rucker, who was arrested in Tennessee. I've heard two things. Maybe it was mushrooms, but it could also be weed, because Tennessee hasn't made weed legal yet. They have a weird type of weed that's legal.
Well,
anyway,
his ex-girlfriend, Kate Quigley, who's a comedian, she's shading him on social media. She goes, yes, I've heard. All I can say is karma. Mood when you hear your D-bag ex got arrested, she quipped. Well, now that he's in jail.
Sounds like the word's bitterness, not karma.
A little weird. Now that he's in jail, he really will be a blowfish. That's my guess.
Anyway, you and I both found when the story broke, we love reading comments. The comments were so clever and funny. And then I went back to try to find them, and it was all like diluted, and I couldn't find that original post. But always make sure you read the comments. They're so funny. Let's make America Florida. All right, Florida man demands trial. Get this. He says the cheesy combos snacks don't have enough cheese.
Oh.
His argument is that they are deceptively marketed because they don't contain enough real cheese. More than half the public consider cheese healthy and nutritious because it's a high in protein and nutrients with key vitamins and minerals like calcium. His attorney wrote in the Florida Middle Court lawsuit, quote, by replacing real cheese with palm oil and dairy product solids, a phrase I had never read before, the filling lacks the quality, nutritional, and savory attributes that consumers expect from a label indicating a, quote, filling made with real cheese.
I'm glad somebody's saying something, you know? And he's also suing Hot Pockets for not being hot. I mean, Your Honor, they're kept in a freezer. What the fuck? He's suing Fruit Loops for lacking fresh berries, Coke for having literally zero cocaine in it. None.
This is the premise of this court case. Your Honor, because this is Florida, there is an expectation that combos are a health food. That's what's really being said.
Yeah, right. And also, Florida doesn't allow combos. By that, I mean transsexuals.
Is that what that is?
Yeah.
All right, let's make Alabama, Florida. All right. A suspect local media labeled a dog napper is now in custody after authorities say he stole a large Snoop Dogg bobblehead figurine from the lobby of a Fort Myers, Florida restaurant Monday night. According to the Lee County Sheriff's Office, deputies responded to Cantina Laredo after being alerted to the theft Tuesday. Restaurant personnel told investigators someone had stolen the roughly 3-foot-tall bobblehead of the famed rapper actor, valued at $1,250 from the restaurant lobby the previous night. And I am totally assuming Dog the Bounty Hunter was the first call.
Yeah.
He has the hair for it, the Florida scene, and the
That's
punny
good.
name.
That's good. The dog catcher. By the way, can Snoop Dogg take a fucking rest? Can he just relax? Does he need a bobblehead? How about a reality show? How about a record label? How about clothing? He's got it. What's your overhead that you need to put out a First of all, if you're Snoop Dogg, the bobblehead should only just fall forward and hang like you're in a nod. It shouldn't bounce back.
Yeah. Also, Snoop rarely looks foolish like a stupid bobblehead.
Yeah.
Is there a cool version?
Yeah, I mean, he's the opposite of a bobblehead. He's one of those guys that keeps his head perfect. That's the thing I've noticed about confident people who look cool. They don't move their head. It's a sign of insecurity to move your head.
Yeah. Well, I know touching your face is a tell. You know, you don't like what you're saying or thinking.
Looking down.
Especially touching your nose. Yeah.
No, there's certain comedians that look everybody in the eye. They almost have like a little bit of a lean back, and they go on stage like that, and they're not funny, but the crowd goes like, "This guy's confident. I'm into this. I'm in," and they smile and they laugh at nothing.
Yeah. Well, we talked about it before the podcast, but I compared Dusty Slay's energy, his unconscious physical energy, to Rodney Dangerfield, who could not stop touching his tie and shrugging and constantly shrugging, kind of like moving his clothing around. And if you watch Dusty, he constantly rocks, and his tie is his glasses, which he constantly adjusts, and his shirt. His glasses and his shirt. But sometimes those people are really exciting because you're like, there is a lot going on in there.
Well, Andy Kindler. Andy Kindler takes his glasses up and down off his nose.
Yeah.
All right, let's do some sports. We've already talked about it, but let's officially do it.
Here we go.
All right, so we had bets last week. You had the Ravens giving 3.5 points.
Yeah.
And you lost that.
Badly.
And then I had the
I didn't know the fix, Greg, I didn't know the fix was in.
I had the 49ers, but I had to give 7 points, so I lost.
Man, that Lions collapse. Oh, my God.
19 points.
And listen, it's easy to be a Monday morning quarterback, but I'm sure everyone here listening agrees. Like, the table I was at, the whole table was like, you're not kicking a field goal? Like, what? Everyone was like, what are you doing?
Oh, no. Fourth and goal, and you're down by 3 points. They ended up losing the game by 3 points. That fucking field goal would have saved them. And also just the turn. I mean, it was just, it was like, and I know Detroit shares this. It was like, I'm a Jets fan. It was like watching the Jets who are up, and you're just like, this won't hold. Yeah. No, I felt like that too. I mean,
it's an inevitability, and it's from a culture of losing.
Yeah.
And the other team has a culture of winning.
Right, exactly.
When they're behind, people are afraid of them in the fourth quarter. Because they're winners. They're leaning that way. Momentum, there's an inertia towards winning, the exact opposite of a losing culture.
Yes. I mean, when Brady was at the Patriots, you were playing more than just Brady, more than just that team. You were playing history, you know. You were playing a dynasty.
Yeah, it's like the Jordans and the Birds who are like, just get me the ball for this last shot. We're down by 2. Yeah. I'm going to drain a 3. Right. And it's like, and it's surprising to everyone if I don't, which did happen a lot. And it's the exact opposite when you're a Jets or a Lions fan.
And by the way, speaking of sports, my cousin Danny McCarthy is at Pebble Beach for the big tournament. And let me see how he finished today.
So does this mean like the golf? I don't know about golf season. The golf season has started? Is that what this is?
Yeah, I think it started a week or 2 ago. But Pebble Beach is the first really big tournament of the year. PGA leaderboard today. Pebble Beach. Let's see how he did today. I'm scrolling pretty far down here.
Ruh-roh.
He's in 20th place, which is not bad. He is
That's not far down.
No, it's not far down. He's 5 under, and the leader is 11 under. So he's 6 shots off the lead, and it's only 2 days into the tournament out of 4. So let's see. Let's see how
Any
Danny does.
idea what makes the cut?
Oh, he's way beyond. Yeah, he's totally making the cut.
Oh,
Usually
all right,
it's
great.
like, there's 100 players that start, and then maybe half of that makes the cut, or
Okay.
2/3. But he just got married last month, so everybody was a little worried he's going to be distracted, but he's going to be fine. My mom was at the wedding. She said it was huge. There was like 350 people there or something.
Oh, nice.
And she said it was beautiful, and she had a great time, and the family treated her really nicely, so that was nice.
Oh, very cool.
All right, which brings us to the Super Bowl, my friend. We need to figure out the wager amount and who's getting which team.
Well, listen, like we did this week, we adjusted our point spreads because I think it was 7.5 and 4.5 it wound up at. Like they moved.
Yeah.
Especially from 3.5 to 4.5. But anyway, so we'll play game time spread, but right now it's 49ers giving the Chiefs, apparently they have not heard about the fix. The 49ers are giving the Chiefs 1.5 points.
Right. Denman, will you check on where that stands right now? And the under-over is 47.5 points, which is a little high.
So were you there when we were making all the bets, Gibbons and I? We came up with all these bets of, will there be a Taylor Swift cutaway before the commercial break? So you had to gauge how likely is it they'll score, or they'll just bump out on her and stuff. So we bet so many times, and I lost so many bets on the Taylor Swift cutaways. And so I bet there's a lot of prop bets like that. Like how many times will they show her and things?
Yeah, right.
That'll be cool. All right, so listen, I don't want the Chiefs to win.
I do. I'd like the Chiefs to win.
Why is that?
I just love Mahone.
Taylor?
I think Mahone is a guy that he's been in 5 of the last 6. He won. Did he win the AFC Championship 5 out of the last 6 years?
I don't even know.
He's been in the Super Bowl now like 3 out of the last 4 years. These are all going to get corrections. I don't know.
Oh, of course.
But he's on track.
They hate when we talk about sports.
He's so far away from Brady statistically, but I don't even think he's 30 yet, and he's already like, he's tearing it up. He's tearing up the record book. So I like to see that. I think he's a good guy, and I like to see him. I do like Travis Kelce, and I like Bosa. They got a great team.
All right, whatever. So Chris originally put in, he was seeing it went down to 1, but now he's saying they're giving 2 away.
Okay.
Are people not hearing about the fix?
I know.
The fix is moving the line in the opposite direction?
Right. Well, let's see. All right, so how much do you want to play for?
I don't know. I mean, this game's a toss-up.
Well, I've lost, I think, about $40 to you during the playoffs.
Yeah.
So why don't we play for 50? That way there'll be a winner.
Okay.
All right,
I'm betting
$50.
I'm betting against the Swifties, whatever the hell they're called.
Yeah, not smart.
No, you rarely win when you do that.
There was also a story about the FBI arrested a New Jersey man who wore a throwback Philadelphia Eagles beanie to the January 6th riot after online sedition hunters identified him with the help of facial recognition and Facebook photos from a 2020 family trip to a pumpkin patch.
Oh, that sounds wholesome for a jackass Eagles fan.
So anyway, this guy's a financial advisor. He was arrested, charged with a bunch of crimes. Authorities alleged he yelled, "Move the gates," over a bullhorn before the barricades on the east side of the Capitol were breached. In front of the mob, he yelled, "Push, push, push," as it broke through another police line. We need something to break the door down. Here's what you don't need to break the door down. The Philadelphia Eagles offensive line. That's not going to break any doors down.
Well, luckily the Capitol Police collapsed just like the Eagles. So, I mean, they just walked all over them.
Yeah. What's funny is the Eagles are known for what's called the tush push, where they get behind Jalen Hurts, the quarterback, and on 4th and short, they push him across the line of scrimmage. It's called so he was literally calling for an Eagles play.
What was January 6th? Imagine how angry he was this year, this Eagles fan, on January 6th. We're in the middle of their meltdown.
Yeah, well, the thing about January 6th for Eagles fans is they're usually free. They got a lot of time on their hands.
They're mathematically eliminated at that point. Not this year. They still had promise.
All right, let's do this story in international. Let's go to international.
You got it.
The leader of a transnational Iranian assassination network recruited a full-patch Hells Angel to organize the murder of 2 defectors now living in Maryland at the direction of the Islamic Republic's feared Ministry of Intelligence and Security. Accused narcotics trafficker Naji Ibrahim Sharif Zindashti, a.k.a. Big Guy. I guess he's the Iranian actor who he's responsible for assassinations, kidnappings. This guy's a fucking badass. There should be a movie about this guy. Zindashi agreed to pay $350,000 plus $20,000 to cover expenses to Canadian outlaw biker Damien Patrick. Which, first of all, what Hells Angels has $20,000 in expenses? Who raised the price of Budweiser and Speed? Did he upgrade his room at Big Dick's Motel to a double?
Nowhere in the story does it say how they caught them, right?
No, doesn't say.
Wow.
But it's nice to see the Hells Angels getting along with the people they used to drag behind their Harleys after 9/11.
Yeah, I just think it's like the Middle Eastern people and Hells Angels. I mean, there's such hope.
Middle Easterners
they can bond
and
like this.
Middle Easterners mixing with Midwesterners.
I love it. There is hope. I mean, there's a feel-good story.
Yeah. Let's get to science. Feel-good story in science.
Blinded. All right, I need this news. Go ahead.
Azariti Pharmaceuticals has recalled some of its ADHD and narcolepsy medication, Zenzetti, after incorrect pills were found in a package of the drug. The recall notice says that one of Zenzetti's 30 milligram tablets, a lot of them, is being recalled after an incident in which they found tablets of carbenoxamine maleate and antihistamine in a bottle labeled as Zenzetti.
What's the downside there? Go ahead.
This comes amidst the national shortage of ADHD drugs that has been ongoing, creating further confusion and unpredictability for people with ADHD who have struggled to find medications for their condition. Of course it's a struggle. People with ADHD having to follow up on something? Unless it's a rabbit hole about how the Disney multiverse is a collection of universes which are similar to various different times and places in the world, the worlds loosely resembling our world's medieval Europe. Other than that, very hard for them to pick up the phone and call their Walgreens and check on their prescription.
I love, did you read the effects that the 2 drugs have?
Well, the active compound in Zenzetti is dextroamphetamine sulfate, a stimulant used for the treatment of ADHD and narcolepsy. Carbenoxamine maleate, the allergy drug found in the mislabeled bottles, is a sedative and has the opposite effect of a stimulant. So narcoleptics were given a sedative. This is like giving a schizophrenic a hit of acid. You're going in the wrong direction.
It would be better if it was a mislabeled bottle of placebos. At least it would be neutral.
Right.
Oh, man. Imagine someone like, a lot of these people are taking them for big tests and even like the LSATs and all that stuff.
Right.
And you get in there and you are fighting sleep.
Yeah. Damn.
But you have a clear nose if there's an antihistamine in there, maybe.
Right.
That's nice.
Man, I can't shake the narcolepsy, but Jesus Christ, I'm fucking breathing deep today.
God, I have never been more set to snort my ADHD meds than right now. I mean,
Yeah.
these are as clear as they've been in ever, maybe.
Yeah. Lot of letters to the editor this week. Let's do
get
it.
to it.
All right. So, Martha Stewart, that belonged in corrections. I'm going to have to move that up for next week.
All right.
Jane Blue said that in case you didn't know about this, Mike inadvertently flashed a singular hand peace sign, and then she gave us screen grabs by the millisecond of you throwing what could be a gang signal, but is actually just like a nice old, there you go, little peace sign.
But wait.
Thanks, Jane.
So you know what she's saying, though?
What?
There's a thing now. So I just threw a peace sign just now.
Yeah.
That means anyone watching this in FaceTime, balloons just went up the screen. Do you see her grab at 4625 or screen grab?
How come I'm not getting a...
Because you're not FaceTime.
Oh. But I saw one come up earlier. We had a heart come up earlier when we were talking.
There was something that happened, right? What was that?
I don't know. Let's
Were we
ask.
FaceTiming?
No. Maybe Chris Denman knows something?
Maybe we're triggering it on Denman's side.
Denman's gone. He's at that fucking barbecue. Midcoast Media's throwing a barbecue, which we got invited to about 2 hours ago. He's like, oh, we just decided to throw a... No, you didn't just decide. There's like a fucking 8-color banner. You just found a mansion this afternoon and you're suddenly having a barbecue we weren't invited to?
He's at a meeting right now with Customs trying to delay Taylor Swift's flight from Japan back to the Super Bowl.
Right.
They're not letting that happen.
Yeah. He goes to a lot of meetings, doesn't he?
He meets at night because they have all the tiki torches that, you know, they kind of have to keep on the down low now. So they use them at night.
So we have a new segment called Town Identities, where we asked people. I said, I'm from Tarrytown, which is the home of the Headless Horseman, because Washington Irving wrote the book there.
Yeah.
And people were nice enough to send us their town identities. Landon said Dalton, Georgia is the carpet capital of the world.
Huh.
Now, does that mean women don't shave?
That's what Dalton, Georgia's known.
A lot of lesbians down in Dalton.
That is the case there.
Yep. A lot of Subaru Legacy Outbacks. A lot of softball. A lot of carpet.
I wonder if there's another city in Georgia that's the drapes capital of the world. And they all match.
They all match. Anthony Segretti, who's a friend of the show, sends me a nice video with his lovely wife Celine every year. She said, we bought a home in Bloomfield, New Jersey, which has a school mascot, the Bengals, but a few towns over from us is Verona, New Jersey, which despite New York City being within a view of this town, the school mascot is the hillbilly. The gun and moonshine were originally on it and ended up being changed to a dog and a fishing pole.
Oh, wow.
I mean, Jersey is south of New York City. Growing up in New York, I considered anything south of the city as hillbilly country.
Gun and moonshine. Oh, I'd like to find that old image. That's crazy.
And then he wrote a joke. I wonder if they really lean into the name and have hillbilly-themed events at the school like sister kissing and meth cook-offs.
All right. I mean, we could look up the derivation or the history of hillbilly. Is it going to be like hobo? Like, is hillbilly still okay to say?
I don't know. I think white trash is out, but I think hillbilly is grandfathered in.
All right.
This one comes from Joanne Stone. She's lived in Yorba Linda for 30 years. The slogan is Land of Gracious Living. This came from a building developer who was trying to lure people to the middle of nowhere in the early 70s. And, it was the backdrop of one Richard Milhouse Nixon, who was anything but gracious when it came to the Watergate scandal. Well, there you go.
Wait, I'm looking up Yorba Linda. I mean, wouldn't it be the translation?
I thought Yorba Linda was that town where people live. 60 Minutes did a piece on, there's places that are called.
No, Yorba was a dude. Okay.
There's
a Yorba.
there's a phrase for cities where people live long. One was in Japan, and apparently there's it's not Yorba Linda. There's another Linda.
Yeah, the blue cities.
Yeah, it was a blue city, but I went back and forth with her, and she said no, that's the other one. Mike Zaccaro said the town of Lyme, Connecticut, is best known as being the home of Lyme disease. First discovered locally, there are local conspiracies that claim it was a lab leak from nearby Plum Island, site of the Federal Animal Disease Research Center.
Anthrax Island. Nice touch, Clarice. That's what he was referring to.
Oh, really?
They were going to put him on Plum Island. I believe that is the reference in Silence of the Lambs.
No kidding. Wow.
Yep. And he called it Anthrax Island because he wanted a room with a view.
Oh.
And he'd be able to take walks, and she was so proud of the package she was delivering to him, and he tore it apart.
Now, were they all Chinese?
Who's that?
The people that live on that island that leaked the disease?
Anthrax Island?
Yeah.
No, I don't know. Because of plum sauce?
No, because the Chinese leaked the coronavirus.
Oh, I see. Well,
allegedly.
Let's stick to one conspiracy theory a podcast.
Okay. Tony Ritchie says, my hometown of Newcastle, PA, is the fireworks capital of America. Okay. So that's pretty cool. That's where
the logo is someone giving you a thumbs up, but they have to use their index finger because their thumb was blown off.
Right. Corey, my town is Woodland, the Woodlands, Texas. Yes, the is paramount. The Woodlands is an affluent master plan community 30 miles from Houston. Everything here is carefully curated and rigorously maintained. For that and many other insular reasons, we've referred to it as the bubble. So it's
and by master
Woodlands.
Planned, like only the masters live there, and the slaves were off campus.
That sounds like it. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So let's get to regular mail. Ray Jepson said, you talked to Mike about astronauts dying on Mars and how it would happen. Well, while I hope they survive, it is morbidly fascinating how one would die in space. Usually there are many ways one could die on Mars: starvation, dehydration, suffocation, radiation, freezing. It turns out, though, that even in the negative 80-degree temperatures, one's blood would boil because of the extremely low air pressure, and that person would die in seconds from that. I hope seconds. Your blood boiling?
I think it's the first, I guess that's how you would explode. I guess that's the first millisecond or seconds he's saying.
Yeah.
Okay, so you have a suit and you open the face mask, which totally exposes you. It's not like a tiny hole in your suit. It totally exposes you. Would you explode? That's my question.
Yeah, I mean, I think it is.
Or would your organs just kind of blow up in your body and you would like jolt and you'd be dead?
Well, if it's low air pressure, it would.
You explode.
You explode.
Right.
Right.
And then at the bottom of the ocean, as we know, you implode.
But at negative 80 degrees Fahrenheit, wouldn't you freeze to death within, I gotta think, a minute or two?
I don't know. I mean, I've skied in when it was 22 below without wind chill.
Really?
Yeah. And no problem.
So this is 4 times colder than that.
Huh?
So this is 4 times colder than that.
I don't know if that's how you would look at it.
Yeah.
Because I don't know if it's 4 times, but it's 60 degrees colder. So yeah, because 0, it's Fahrenheit. 0 isn't where we're starting. So anyway, I don't know.
All right, let's get to the obituaries. Let's go down.
Let's think more about death. Here we go.
And that's all, folks.
Oh, man. I'm responsible for obituaries now, and I Googled obituary. I didn't know off the top of my head who had died this week. And sad news, man, came in today. Carl Weathers, who was in the Rocky franchise, obviously, died at 76 years old. Weathers died peacefully in his home on Thursday, as manager Matt Luber confirmed. Cause of death was not revealed. I mean, this guy was one of the first villains I saw in a movie theater, really.
Yeah.
If you don't count cartoons and stuff.
Right.
Apollo Creed, are you kidding me? And they said he was an exceptional human being who lived an extraordinary life. His family sent a statement. He was a former NFL linebacker.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
He found lasting Hollywood success as an athlete from another sport, boxing. After taking on minor roles in a variety of projects in the mid-'70s, he became an overnight sensation in 1976 for originating the fictional boxer Apollo Creed. He appeared in the first Rocky film and reprised the role for the franchise's second, third, and fourth films. Weathers' character went on to inspire Michael B. Jordan's Creed film series.
Can I tell you my run-in with Carl Weathers?
Please do.
Well, my father was, a low-level celebrity in New York City, but he was invited to play in a celebrity baseball game at Shea Stadium.
Nice.
And Carl Weathers was on his team, and he showed up and he forgot to bring a baseball mitt, and my brother and I were sitting in the stands with our baseball mitts to catch foul balls.
Nerds.
And Carl Weathers borrowed my brother's baseball mitt and used it for the game.
Wow.
Yeah. Then he signed it at the end of the game.
By all accounts, I've heard he's a really nice guy.
He was a very sweet guy. He was
and
great.
we should mention he was famous role and turn in The Predator, Action Jackson, and he was in The Mandalorian recently.
Wow. That's pretty cool. I mean, think about Rocky coming out in 1976 as a movie about the bicentennial and this American, guy who's comes from nothing, the American story. It was the script was perfect for the times, and the casting was amazing. What about his trainer, the manager? What was his name?
Oh, Mickey?
Yeah. What was the actor's name? Burgess Meredith.
Oh, yeah.
He was great. I think he got nominated.
Women weaken legs.
And then Adrian was played by, was it Scorsese's sister?
No.
The other director, Francis Coppola's sister.
Yeah, exactly. Talia Shire.
Right. Who went on to be in The Shining.
Nope. Different one.
No.
Yeah. Talia Shire wasn't in the Shining. I'm forgetting. We should see Chris should be here. I'll look up Talia Shire. No.
All right.
The Shining was. You shouldn't do this to me. I'm tired today. Shining actress. Here we go. It's coming. Shelley Duvall.
Oh, right. Was she related to Robert Duvall?
I do not believe so.
There's this guy who's got a great Instagram account where he gives you lineages that you didn't know about.
Oh, no. It's so amazing. Yeah, a lot of music. He focuses on a lot of musicians and then who their parents were and stuff.
Right.
And, of course, Jason Schwartzman is Talia Shire's son.
Oh,
See?
Nice.
This guy should do that for you, too.
Yeah.
Shelley
Duvall,
Duvall,
not related to Robert Duvall. That's what Denman just wrote. Apparently, he's back from his meeting.
All right.
Her father's name is Robert, though. Okay.
Very
interesting.
confusing.
Fun fact.
Very confusing.
Let's cheer up, Mike.
Here we go. Time. God bless Carl Weathers. I loved hating him when I was 10 years old.
Yeah.
All right. Here we go.
Well, we're trying to cheer up. It's tough to cheer up in medieval Scandinavia, but these two women are inside a house during Hagar the Horrible, and one says to the other, and they look, like they're Laverne and Shirley of the 1300s. And one says to the other one, did you know you were living next to a fierce Viking commander? And she goes, smiling, I'm not surprised. And then Helga says to Hagar, chop it now. And then in the background, you see her say she rules the house. And it's like, do you want to live 8 feet from a rapist? Is it fun to peer out the window and make little quips about the rapist that lives next door to you?
And were 2 women really living alone back then?
No, they were not.
They had their own place?
Yeah. They work at a
feminists?
brewery.
Yeah. Who is this, Rhoda and Mary Tyler Moore?
Yeah. And then we get another one where Lucky is with this beautiful kind of hippie chick. She goes, I'm devoting my life to making the world a happier place. And then he goes, can you start with me? But it's menacing. It's not a request. It's more like, yeah, can you start with me? Like now?
Yeah. It's time.
And
Get to
that's
work.
Lucky. That's the skinny guy.
Yeah. And there was no luck needed back then.
Right.
Let's face it.
Just a club.
Yeah.
Should call him Clubby. And now we got the Lockhorns. Loretta's walking away from Leroy. And he goes, I think the living room is haunted from all the dead parties we've had in here. And now there's another party in the next one. And Leroy's talking to his friend. Loretta walks in with her mother. And Leroy goes, great. The comments section is here.
They just left their place with next door to Hagar.
So I went to the comments underneath that comic because I thought, all right, these guys are gonna be self-referential on this. And sure enough, somebody wrote, "We've been here the whole time."
That's good.
Yeah.
All right. I decided to look up one more Kathy to figure this out. And here it is. She's standing in front of a washer dryer and she's there with her dumb face, which is usually the ack face, A-C-K-K-K-K-K. That's or A-A-A-A-A-C-K. And that's her signature ack thing. She's not saying that, but that's the face she has. She has a laundry basket overflowing on the right, and on the left, she has a box full of donuts, and she has a donut in her hand that she's mid-donut. And she has jeans on, and she has a big thought, dialogue bubble above her head, and it says, "My jeans shrunk." And I'm just like, this is the least funny, saddest
It's so sad.
strip. I don't even understand what the angle is. Again, I'm so and my thought then is, and it's not funny, but I think this creator of this strip, who was in advertising or marketing, and then she started writing this, I think based on herself, I just think this was a big way for her to say, I'm not interested to all men. Like, look,
Yeah.
this is a representation of me. I'm like the most miserable human ever, and I'm not funny, and I'm pathetic, and I'm a victim. I play the victim regarding everything. Like in this one, I'm a victim to donuts.
And I have an eating disorder and I hate women. And she's Sarah Jessica Parker in Sex and the City with no self-esteem.
Yeah, so I'm done. I got to find a new comic strip. If anyone wants to recommend one,
Someone
I'm all
recommended
ears.
that we get more.
I can't take Kathy anymore.
Somebody said we should get more into Calvin and Hobbes, but again, the point of these strips is that we're making fun of them, except for the Lockhorns, which I just genuinely think is funny. We're looking for ones we can make fun of, and I think Calvin and Hobbes is just already funny.
Is it?
Calvin and Hobbes?
I've never read one.
Oh, they're great. Well, I don't know if they're funny. They're just great. It got my son into reading. He had so many Calvin and Hobbes book, and it turned him into a reader.
Right. All right. Well, I've done Charles Adams. Excuse me. I've done Family Circle, Charles Adams,
Family
Far
Circus.
Side, Family Circus. What did I say? Circle?
Circle.
It always is a circle. And then I went from Charles Adams to Gary Larson, The Far Side, and then sadly to Kathy. So we're gonna have to switch it up here.
Wait, is it called Family Circle? Was it always framed in a circle? Those strips? Yeah. I think they were. Oh, I never got that before.
It is Family Circus though.
Yeah. Oh, but it's a circle.
A circus, 3 rings without punchlines.
Speaking of no punchlines, here is Blondie, and she's walking in, and she's got kind of a Kelly Green sweater. Breasts are they're exploring the cashmere of that sweater. Black velvet skirt, calves like bowling pins, and Dopey walks in with like the gayest blue overcoat and a red bow tie. What are you, Orville Redenbacher? And she goes, so how did your annual physical go at Dr. Austin's today, honey? And he goes, oh, it went okay, I guess, but he made me a little nervous. And she goes, about what? And he goes, well, during the exam, he just kept saying, oh, my. Yeah.
What?
Yeah, oh, my. Oh, my, what a fucking fragile, weak, sad little man who's never done a squat or a pull-up for this. Meanwhile, his wife is built like Xena the warrior. She is gorgeous. She clearly spends hours at the gym, takes supplements, cares about her diet. And this guy, no effort. What makes him think he's entitled to this? Earn it, Dagwood Bumstead.
Maybe she goes to Dr. Austin too. So when he's examining him, it's just like, oh my, like it doesn't add up. Oh
yes.
my.
Yeah.
This person in front of me sees that exam that I gave to her and everything I saw.
And she goes, yeah, that's weird. She goes, whenever I go to him, he also says, oh my, a lot.
Yeah.
Oh my.
Oh my.
Oh my.
And then she sort of hears mumbled motorboat. She thinks she hears the word motorboat. Oh my, like a motorboat that.
Oh, doctor. All right, well, listen, folks. So if you want a nice, smooth smoke, we recommend very much that you get yourself what do they call this thing? The freeze pipe. Go to thefreezepipe.com. Use code Sundays. Get 10% off your entire order. It's a lot of fun.
Down smoke. Ices it down.
Yeah. Also, don't forget the koozies. We have just a couple. We don't have a ton left. We got maybe 50 left. So get on them before they're gone. Also, St. Patrick's Day at the Improv. Come out and support Sunday Papers, March 16th. Get your tickets at fitzdog.com. We want to thank Midcoast Media, Chris Denman and Beth, and everybody else who comes together to bring the show to you. We appreciate you. Mike, anything you want to promote?
I don't know. Yeah, I guess Dusty Slay, right? I've already talked about him a lot. I would go watch that. I thought it was really funny. And other than that, I think everyone should take it eesh.
Take it eesh!
Let's sit and write a song. Won't take you very